Hi, and welcome to the second video in the personal totem. This video is all about words, and before I get into showing you some of my word samples in my journals, I'd like to read from a quote by Natalie Goldberg, one of my favorite writers and writing mentors. This should help you become more comfortable with free writing. I consider writing an athletic activity. The more you practice, the better you get at it. The reason you keep your hand moving is because there's often a conflict between the editor and the creator. The editor is always on your shoulder and saying, "Oh, you shouldn't write that, that's not good." But when you have to keep your hand moving, it's an opportunity for the creator to get its way. The goal is to allow the written word to connect to the original mind, to write down the first thought you flash on and keep going. In my own experience, in the first video, I showed you a piece with a ladder. As I worked with it and discussed the frayed edges, the word unraveled came to mind. And although I was in the middle of the demonstration, my inclination was to write it down. I do that with any word that pops into my head like that I think might have some special meaning. The image I offer in exercise 1 is a sample drawing of a totem, and the entire time I was sketching, words were popping into my head. You have to listen for those words, but write them down, as I did, and you will discover some words that have specific meaning for you and also recur in the lists of words that you are starting to create, which will give you a sense of the patterns that you're forming in your work. And I also want to urge you to be gentle with yourself. Writing is a practice, it is an exercise, and if you can't do 5 minutes off the bat, just write for 2. So now I'm going to show you several samples of the way that I play with words in my journals. And this one is a straightforward listing of a slew of Japanese words regarding fabric and fabric techniques, many of which I don't know the meaning, but I find it helpful if I'm going to name a piece of work that I'm doing or want to research into them further, or just take the words apart and reorganize the letters into new words. This is an example of a list with a theme, in this case landscape words, which I decided to collect because of my interest in migration as a theme for my work, some of my work. And I would list whatever I could find at one time and come back to it several times to fill up as much as I could based on what words resonated with me as I came across them. So you can have something you're interested in and build a list of words based on that theme. This is also a book where I collect poems and quotes, and as I was thumbing through it, I thought this one was extremely appropriate for our discussion today. In a great many cases, the more you learn about a word's roots, the closer you come to the earth from which it sprang. And this is written by Joseph Brubeck in The Alphabet of Trees. This page seems to have started with a dream because I wrote in script, "When dreams say, pay attention," stamped out. And one of my favorite things to do with words, as I had mentioned in one of the earlier examples, is take them apart and put them back together. So the words pay and attention, and especially attention it looks like, had all these other words, taint, eat, note, nation, And that can be a good exercise to just get your intuitive mind flowing. This is another page in one of my journals that I zoomed in on so you could see the numerous words that I've incorporated into this spiral, which started out as a graphic for the hurricanes we were experiencing a couple of years ago, and turned into a great place to store words about myself, as I had asked my students to do in one of our exercises. I admit I'm a word geek, and I collect dictionaries. I love old dictionaries because the meanings and the words that are listed there are often excluded in more current dictionaries. So thrift shops, I go around and buy dictionaries. This is one that I use on a daily basis, and one exercise I like to do is just open it up anywhere, spin around on the page, stop, and pick up a word and have a write about it or a think about it. I also have an old dictionary that is dedicated to tearing things out of, because I often use paper in some collaging I do and in some mixed media fabric work I do. And it also allows me to focus in on words for wordplay. And what I've done here, and especially when you don't have an idea in your head quickly, I've torn out a whole bunch of dictionary pages, and I'm not sure if I can put that in focus, but this says venture, and you can make yourself a little basket of words like this, draw one out, and use that as a writing prompt or as an idea starter for something else. And the book is chock full, so if you run out of pages, you get through all of these, there's plenty more to gather from the book. So those are a couple of ideas, and I hope you enjoyed watching them and really get into playing with words.